Okay, this video is why is Medical Monk the best name or logo for this channel? And I've had a lot of discussions with this with friends over the last couple weeks. And basically, I just got the idea for doing this when some friends suggested it to me with the Medical Reformation book. And I had thought of dressing like Luther. Other names that have been considered for this channel were, of course, the Spartan Vegan. And I kind of like the Spartan Vegan. I felt that it kind of fit me, because I'm real sparse and sort of cheap and simple as possible, because that frees up time to do other things and achieve my goals. Spartan also kind of tough, a fighter like an ex-wrestler. So I liked all of that. That worked, and I thought that was good. And a lot of people like that in veganism. But the veganism crowd is really just sort of one part of the things that I'm doing. And a lot of young people have a very negative opinion of veganism, which seems strange to me. But I can remember, too, when I was young, I thought, lefty, pinko, commie, hippie, sandal wearing, so I sort of know why they have that, because I used to think that way before I learned all this stuff about health. And then the other thing was, like the Fonz, the bad boy of veganism. And that mostly fits for the fact that, most online nutrition experts are basically chickens. They don't want to talk about, all the problems with coffee, soy, non-organic and olive oil and omega-3s and all this stuff, because, like I said, you get shadow banned. People hate you when you tell the truth about things like that. Okay, so the bad boy of veganism fits, but it really only fits for toxicology and for standing up to some of the common corporate food problems. But I think I'm doing a lot more than that with this site. Okay. So, the big picture of what's going on is here's what's really happening in the world, okay? Anybody that knows history, if you don't know anything, just read, what happened in Russia in the 1900s, starting with about 1917, okay? Read that. And everything in the modern world is the same thing. It's just with modern technology added to it, which makes it all worse. Okay, the reason it's happening now is that the modern technology has gotten so good that it can be used to make a repeat of Russia 1917 possible all over again. And so hopefully it's not going to happen, but the only way it's not going to happen is if people, have a clue and say, look, we want to keep our freedom. Thank you. Okay, so a couple things that actually do kind of fit surprisingly well is here is a painting of Quo Vadis. So Quo Vadis was a vision of St. Peter during the time of Nero. Nero had burned down much of Rome because he wanted to put his own new buildings in place. Kind of reminds me of what happened in Hawaii a couple months ago. So anyways, Nero burned down much of Rome, and then he needed a scapegoat, so he blamed it on the Christians. St. Peter was in town at the time, and he was just leaving, and he left town walking out of Rome when he had a vision of Christ, and he saw Christ heading back into Rome with the cross on his shoulders. And he said, where are you going? Quo Vadis means where are you going in Latin? Domine Lord. Okay, so he said, I'm going back to Rome to be crucified again because you won't do your job. Your people need you in Rome. So St. Peter decided he's going to turn around and go back to Rome where he was crucified. And what this represents is a cross upside down, because St. Peter said he's not worthy to be crucified as Christ was upright, so he was crucified upside down. So those are the symbols of St. Peter. The other, of course, symbol of St. Peter is the keys to heaven. He was given the keys to heaven by Jesus Christus. And in a sense, you can say the keys to health, okay? The knowledge given, all right? And then what this is all about, the sun right here, the sun comes from this symbol of the Dominicans. And the Dominicans are sort of like a scholarly order amongst the monks. And I especially like St. Aquinas because St. Aquinas really unified faith and reason, showing that they go together. And he was also syncretic in the sense that he was able to show the benefit of taking what we could learn from Greek knowledge, especially Aristotle. I like the fact that he was Aristotelian because a lot of good comes from that. Aristotle's maybe the smartest person who ever lived. Okay, he did so many good things, it's not even funny. I agree with Ayn Rand. He's the greatest philosopher who ever lived. Okay, and the reason I say that, though, there's another line of thought in Christianity, is sort of the Augustinian line of thought that largely is influenced by Plato, so Platonic versions of Greek thought, whereas I think Aristotelian are better. They're much more logical, objective, open-minded. All right, so anyways, I identify with all that stuff. And I made this medical monk diet, which is really, the Spartan Vegan diet, But one of my viewers sent me this picture of a monk. Actually, she sent me two different versions. I like this one better. The monk sitting at a desk reading with a candle. So, anyways, I like this. I think it fits. And what it enables is a lot of stuff. The videos at this channel, they're not just nutrition stuff. They're also about philosophy, literature, music, and art. And I think all of that is good. And, like I said, the only hope that civilization is going to continue is if people go back to God in their thoughts and say, we want a civilization with these type of Bible-based values where we're nice to each other, we're thoughtful, rather than we're sort of heading into a third world, every man for himself, spiral to the bottom, where the billionaire perverts are just destroying everything systematically. And they're really smart. They're really smart. And the average people don't even understand what's happening. I have a pretty good understanding of it, and I know how bad it is. They literally want to, remove about 93% of the people from the world. Okay, and that's the other thing too. Why do they promote this lesbian, gay, stuff so much? The reason is it doesn't make any babies. Okay, I remember back when I was at Stanford. I had come from the Midwest, and in the Midwest, the athletes were kind of celebrated. The football players especially, but the wrestlers too, to a much lesser degree, but still. And then I get to Stanford, and there's article after article in the newspaper saying how great homosexuality was. And I know that was because we are located kind of near San Francisco, being up in Northern California, but it was more than that. And then there would be articles in the newspaper saying, why do we even give scholarships to wrestlers and football players? They're just a bunch of thugs. And it had kind of been like turned the world upside down, from the Midwest where I grew up. And I notice that I see that more and more. It's almost like anal sex is like some sacrament or something nowadays, in terms of how it's valued by the midstream media, so to speak. And so the reason I mention all that is because all this other stuff has been diminished. And I think it's because it's all part of, lowering the population numbers. You don't make babies with anal sex, okay? And I think that's why it's treated like the greatest thing, and it's tried to made into like as if it was something wonderful, because anything that goes against the traditional family of a man and a wife married together having children, anything against that gets promoted by the midstream, versus anything traditional gets squelched kind of in midstream culture. And I believe it's because the billionaire perverts at the top, they want to just diminish the numbers of the people so that they can pretty much own everything and just have a lot more space. It reminds me of the 1930s, what the country in the middle of Europe said it wanted. More Lebensraum, more space. So anyways, I'm just one person. I really can't do much, but I'll make my videos, try to educate people as best I can, because what I'm basically sort of saying, it reminds me of Esau and Jacob, okay? He traded his birthright for a bowl of porridge. So stupid. You got this wonderful, magnificent culture, all this magnificent art and music, and we know how to get along with each other. Just, follow the Ten Commandments, do what Jesus said, be nice to each other, love thy neighbor, give people the benefit of the doubt, forgive each other. That's all we have to do, and we could be healthy and wealthy and everybody happy. But instead, I think it's kind of like Winston Churchill said, every man is, happy to see the alligator fed as long as they can, step further back in the line. But eventually the alligator comes for them. And so what that means is, if you don't help each other and try to, let's maintain, modern high levels of civilization, everybody is eventually going to get pushed down. And they want, if you look at the guide stones, the ones from Georgia, they want 93% of the population gone, at least 93% gone. So all this stuff about 15-minute towns and, what's promoted versus what's not promoted. If you look at it closely, how all the food is full of things to sterilize people, that's what it's all about. So what I'm basically saying is, you can't fix healthcare, you can't fix food, you can't fix any of this stuff until you have a Bible-based worldview. Because right now, big money is controlling things. And what big money wants, the billionaire perverts at the top, is to decrease the population numbers. It's been called the reset, the great what. So I'll do my little part to teach and educate people a little bit, because when you kind of understand all this great stuff that we've achieved, Western civilization over the course of the last 1,000 years, it's magnificent. Okay, but 99% of people aren't aware of it. And so to trade that for third world barbarism is just, leading to communism and slavery. This is stupid. So, anyways, let's see if I got any more slides here. I think there might be another one. Oh, this was, I might have another one here. Let's see. Oh, this was just another painting of Thomas Aquinas that I like, kind of, where he basically went before Christ, said, "Hey, I've done my best. I hope I did okay. I wish I could have done more." Jesus Christ said, "You did pretty good. You did well." So, I always liked Aquinas. All right, and then here's what I meant by the two pictures that the viewer sent me. I don't say the viewer's name because I don't know if they want me to. This was a regular monk, the first one that I was aware of. And then here's the second one. And like I said, there's Quo Vadis, the quote of St. Peter to Jesus Christu, the upside down cross of St. Peter, the son of representing the Dominicans, the scholar amongst the orders there, and then the unification of faith and reason. They go together. If you don't have Bible-based worldview, everything becomes corrupt. Everything becomes based on money. Everything becomes based on what the big money at the top wants. And I can tell you what the big money at the top wants right now is to decrease the population numbers by 93 or more percent. Okay, which means a pretty scary looking game of musical chairs where more than 9 out of 10 chairs are gone. Okay, I don't think anybody really wants that. Okay, but that's what big money wants. They're going to go hide out in Hawaii while we're all stuck in the middle of third world disasters. All right, well, anyways, that's why I think the medical monk is the best name. It lets me talk about any different topic, and I think at the bottom of it, either Bible-based values are going to return or things are just going to keep getting worse. So I hope things start getting better.